We're also very, very excited about having Kenny Roda on the show as well, and Kenny is now joining us from his beautiful studios back in Medina. Yeah, that's definitely.
Oh yeah, that's a crowd pleaser right there.
All right, so
crowd pleaser.
Kenny, what do you think? Oh, look, wait, before you do that, explain to us what's going on here with the hat. Are you Earl Bruce or what?
Come on now, it's I guess it's tradition now. Anytime I'm on TV or on the internet or whatever, and it's bright and early this morning, it's like the old college days, throw on a hat and you're good to go. But the fedora, we're sporting the fedora. We've got other fedoras, in the background that we'll maybe use throughout. So every Monday that I'm with you, we'll have a different fedora on for the show.
Well, I got to tell you, Earl Bruce is very excited about the fact that you're wearing that fedora too. Plus, you got what is that, KennyRoda.com back there? What is that thing back there?
Hey, you like that?
I love
you told me I'm like in Rocky, right? When he has the advertisement on the back of the robe that he wore in the ring and everything. We got KennyRoda.com and a little help from Bill Murray back there because we want you to watch this each and every Monday.
All right, Kenny, what did you think of the game yesterday?
I thought it stunk as usual. New coach, as far as a head coach, new offensive coordinator, new defensive coordinator, new front office. Same result for the Browns. What is that, 9 in a row now that they've lost?
Yeah. Yes.
On opening day, 14 of 15 on opening day. I really thought this was an even matchup, but as we saw yesterday, it was not. The play of the quarterback position was different. Tannehill outplayed Whedon. Both had pressure on them throughout the day. Whedon made more mistakes than Tannehill, but that offensive line did not help Brandon Whedon in any way, shape. Did they cut O'Neal Cousins yet? Because if they haven't, what are they waiting on? He should be gone right now. He was horrible yesterday. Penalties, giving up sacks, looked totally clueless out there. And, of course, you guys mentioned Josh Gordon. They missed him in a big way. But is he as important to that offense as Joe Hayden was last year when they went 0-5 without Hayden?
Yeah.
It sure looked like it yesterday.
Yeah. I got to tell you this. Just so this is your O'Neal Cousins button today.
Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that.
Well, I tell you what, he did not look good yesterday, Kenny. And there are other things on that we saw yesterday that were not impressive. And the play calling this morning has been probably the number one complaint. And, we talked about it. I don't know if you're a fan sitting in the stands that you can say, I saw anything better than what we saw from Pat Shurmur last year.
No, you're supposed to feature Trent Richardson, right? Especially with Josh Gordon out of the lineup. And you give him the ball 13 times, that's it. He's supposed to be your LaDainian Tomlinson in this North Turner run offense, and he touches the ball 13 times out of the backfield. He caught, I think, 2 passes in the offense as well. So a total of 15 touches for Trent Richardson. I'm expecting minimum 20 touches a game, but more like 25 touches per game, especially when you're missing Josh Gordon. I thought the play calling was terrible yesterday. The offensive line play was terrible. Brandon Whedon was terrible. The offensive side of the ball just looked totally out of sync. They played awful yesterday. The defense, you got to give them credit. Early on, they played well. They held them to 23 yards rushing. They accumulated, 4 sacks yesterday. There was pressure on Tannehill. Now, Buster Screen and Cousins, or I'm not Cousins. We're talking about Owens out there along with Buster Screen. Those guys are the weak spot in that defense, and if they don't get pressure, those guys are going to be exposed because if I'm the opposition, I'm not throwing towards Joe Hayden, which they did, only 1 catch for Wallace yesterday. I'm attacking Buster Screen because either A, we're going to beat him for a big play, or B, he's going to get a penalty, and that's what happened yesterday. Owens wasn't any better yesterday, so that right side of that secondary is a huge hole, and the offensive line played just a terrible debut yesterday for Chud and the Cleveland Browns.
But, Kenny, we knew that going into the season. That's part of the thing. So now you have to ask yourself, well, what was Michael Lombardi thinking about the defensive backs if you're coming back with Buster Screen as one of your starters?
D. Milner was available in the draft. That's who I wanted the Browns to go out and get. They decided they wanted to beef up the pass rush and went with Barkevius Mingo, who couldn't play because of the bruised lung. So we'll see if getting Mingo back puts more pressure on the quarterback, which leaves less time for the quarterback to throw, which means less time that Buster Screen and Owens have to cover people out there. And that's how you try and cover up the weakness in your defense, as Ray Horton has done that for years, trying to cover up maybe a weaker secondary with a better pass rush. But I still think the biggest need in the offseason was at defensive back, and they failed to address that.
All right, Kenny, we're going to come back to you a little bit later in the show as well. So, Kenny, we appreciate your time. Can you please bring us down a couple hats?
Yes, I'll work on any specific colors, guys. Anything that look better on you or no?
Well, scarlet and gray, orange and brown, I guess, because it's Dogs on the Run.
Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. I'll look into it for you.
All right, thank you, Coach Kenny. We appreciate it. Kenny Roda joining us, and he'll be with us all season long, too. Excited to talk to him and keep going. We are going to take a tour around the AFC North, because if there is one thing that is very exciting about yesterday, it's that everybody lost in the AFC North. So, the Ravens looked pathetic on Thursday night.
Horrible.
I mean, absolutely ridiculous. The Steelers' offense was non-existent.
They're going to have struggle this year.
And without Le'Veon Bell, they have no running game at all whatsoever, and he is still questionable for what's going to happen to him. Hopefully he's back next week for the Steelers. Only reason I say hopefully is because he's on my fantasy team. Otherwise, I could care less. So, and then also the Bengals, I really thought this is going to be the year for the Bengals, and yet yesterday Mark Trestman has his first game for the Bears, and he is able to go out there and get a win.
Yeah, you think people in Cleveland are upset today. How about Cincinnati? A lot of people picked the Bengals to win the division. The Bears, I mean, I thought everybody thought the Bengals were going to roll against Chicago yesterday with A.J. Green healthy, who had a big day. But nonetheless, the entire division's 0-1. After week number 1 is now you start to get into some interdivisional play with the Ravens next week.
216-431-3820 if you want to call us. 216-431-3820 or Skype in at Dogs on the Run. And we'd love to talk to you, and we'd love for everybody across the world to be able to see you, because that's what this show is all about. It's interactive. It's all about you, and we want to hear from you. Also, we want to remind you, if you're getting dressed this morning or you're listening to us on Newsnet 5, make sure you download the mobile app. You want to get in your car, you can Bluetooth it into your car. You can connect it in through your iPhone or your Android device so you can listen to it in the car. Again, we do say to you, though, if you are going to be driving around, just don't watch the screen. You're not going to miss anything. You're not going to see. We'll explain it to you. If anything funny happens on the screen, we will take care of you, and we will explain every bit of it and what's going on there as well. So, that is a bright spot from yesterday that everybody in the AFC North lost.
Yeah, but now you start to get back into the interdivisional play, and we'll talk to Garrett Downey, one of our former mates here at Channel 5. He's now with the Ravens. The Ravens are going to be giving out their Super Bowl rings next week, Andy, and the Browns in Raven territory, which is one of the loudest stadiums in the National Football League. And now you're giving their team their Super Bowl rings. Talk about walking into a hornet's nest. This as bad as this is, and we're all going to vent about it all day today, and it's going to carry on through probably Friday, maybe even Saturday. But by the time Sunday comes around, you got to start to think about the Ravens, and that's going to be such a tough place to play.
Well, the other thing that's difficult to look at this, and if you win yesterday, and I've said this about 100 times, if you win yesterday, you're setting the stage for the entire season.
Yeah.
You're saying, hey, look, we won this game. The Ravens didn't look good on Thursday night.
Nope.
And so now we've got a chance, and we've got a chance to do some things and get some momentum going in this season and trying to be on a positive note. Now, if you're a Browns fan, you're saying, well, the Dolphins game was a game that it looked like, they should win. If they win, we're off to a good start. Now a lot of Browns fans are talking 0-4. All right, Matt Loede is going to be our Steelers reporter. As you know, he does Steelers Gab. Is that your oop, I went to Twitter by mistake. Sorry about that. Hey, Matt, so you got your Steelers beat going. Also, we know you from the radio here in town as well. What was your assessment of the Steelers yesterday? Because their offense was pathetic.
Yeah, that was a terrible effort. I think it was worst-case scenario all the way around for the Steelers yesterday, guys. Not only did they lose, the offense looked terrible as it did during the preseason, and also they lost 4 players to injury, 2 of which are major contributors and starters on this team. One, of course, being their all-pro center, Marquise Pouncey, who tore his MCL and ACL and will be out for the year after surgery, and also Larry Foote, their starting inside linebacker, the veteran. He'll be out for the rest of the year after tearing a bicep. He'll have surgery as well. So not only did this team not produce anything offensively until the very end of the game, in which they scored a late touchdown to make it somewhat interesting, but also they are really banged up right now. They're still waiting for Le'Veon Bell to come back from injury from a sprained foot. The running game was non-existent. Isaac Redmond fumbled the ball early in the game, and really that changed everything once he fumbled in the end zone on the first Steelers drive of the game after a gift safety, and they were never the same from there. This team just did not look even close to what a Steelers team normally looks like.
Matt, too, the Steelers with Le'Veon Bell out, it was kind of running back by committee, and we kind of saw how that worked yesterday. Is the hope that he's going to be healthy enough to be back in week number 2? Because you talk about the holes that the Browns have without Josh Gordon here out the first couple of games, without Le'Veon Bell, who they had for most of the preseason. That running back by committee really struggled yesterday.
Yeah, absolutely, Mike. I know that they felt like Isaac Redmond was going to be able to at least give them some a semblance of a running game. And not only did he fumble once, but he fumbled again later on in the first half. And Mike Tomlin, as we remember from the Browns game here in Cleveland last year, pulled him and went with Lerod Stephen Howling, former backup with the Arizona Cardinals. They also had Felix Jones, who they picked up pretty much for nothing from the Philadelphia Eagles in a trade late in preseason, and they decided not to play him yesterday, which was interesting. He actually played, but he didn't get any carries, which I thought was interesting. I thought at least he would get an opportunity, especially late when the game was really getting out of hand. I'll tell you what, right now, it's mass confusion. I'm interested to see what Mike Tomlin has to say tomorrow at his press conference because, again, clearly this team, without a semblance of a run game, with the offensive line as beat up as it is now, Ben Roethlisberger running for his life a lot yesterday. Clearly, they're going to have to figure some things out. I know Todd Haley today on our site at SteelersGap.com is getting a lot of heat. There just seems to be, to me, a semblance of almost chaos there with the offense. And I know that that's, again, not normally what we see out of a Steelers team. I think they're going to have to go back to basics, but I think they're also going to probably look to pick up somebody this week. Don't be surprised if they give Jonathan Dwyer, a guy that they cut in their final cuts, a phone call because he knows this offense and he led the team in rushing last year. I wouldn't be surprised one bit if he's back with this team this week.
All right, Matt, last question for you. Surprised the whole conference is, or the whole division is 0-1 this week? I mean, you got 4 teams, nobody won.
Well, I mean, I thought Cincinnati was the best team in the division from day one. I thought they were going to win the division from day one. But I thought that was a very competitive, good game with the Bears yesterday, Andy, and I actually picked the Bears to win that game. The Ravens, that didn't surprise me on Thursday night. I thought that, I think they're going to take a step back this year. The Steelers yesterday, yeah, I did pick them to win, but I also only picked them to win 13-10. I said I thought it was going to be a very difficult game for them because their offense looks so bad. And, guys, I'm sorry. To be honest, I'm not surprised the Browns lost. I think Miami's a better football team. I think all 4 teams in the AFC North have significant issues. I still think Cincinnati's going to be the best team in the division. I think they're going to beat the Steelers a week from tonight. They play Monday night in Cincinnati. I think that crowd's going to be insane down there. So, no, I'm not necessarily surprised all teams went 0-1 this weekend. I think, if anything, the team that felt like it would definitely would have their best chance to win was the Steelers, but again, they laid just a terrible egg at home, and now they've got to regroup quickly.
All right, Matt, thank you very much. You'll be joining us every week to give us the Steelers lowdown. We appreciate your time and your help. SteelersGab.com, right?
You got it. Thanks, Andy. Thanks, Mike. SteelersGab.com, and also my new book just came out in stores last week. The revised, updated edition of 100 Things Every Steelers Fan Should Know and Do Before They Die. It's a very long title. Just look up my name on Amazon, Matt Loede, L-O-E-D-E.
All right, thanks, Matt. We appreciate it. And I'm sure the Browns fans aren't dying to read that, but we appreciate it.
He's the man. He is the man.
All right, Matt, thank you very much. Again, if you want to participate in the program, 216-431-3820 or on Skype, Dogs on the Run. 216-431-3820. Again, we're going to continue our tour through the AFC North right now, kind of just to decompress a little bit about feeling so bad about what happened to the Browns yesterday. It wasn't just the Browns. And the Ravens, Peyton Manning on Thursday night looked so good last night. And then you add the fact that the Ravens had lost 10 starters off their Super Bowl championship team, and then you've got the mixture for bad news, what could happen for the Ravens. And, in fact, that's what we're going to find out next as we continue our tour of the AFC North, and we're joined by Garrett Downing.